Fixed income markets reacted in a fairly well-contained way to the result of the Italian referendum. The spread of Italian government bonds over German bonds widened out initially by about 15 basis points. Since then, there's been some buying in the market, and that spread has tightened in to around 6 or 7 basis points. It's similar to the impact in the FX market, where the euro initially weakened by about 1%, and then came back to almost unchanged on the day. I think to a large extent markets had already expected a no vote in this referendum. The spread of Italian bonds over German bonds had been widening in recent weeks, and in fact some of the short position in the market had been covered even into the end of last week. We have had a flat position in Italian government bonds for a few weeks, at least directionally. And we don't think that this has a huge impact for peripheral spreads at this time. A lot will depend on how the political situation develops in the coming weeks and how successful the recapitalisation of Italian banks is before the end of the year. Well, the Italian economy probably grew at just under 1% in 2016. We think it's going to be quite hard to exceed that over the next couple of years. In the longer term, the defeat of this referendum is probably a negative for the kind of structural reforms that Italy needs to undertake if it's going to improve its long-term growth outlook. And in the near term, the degree of uncertainty will be very important. Partly because we need to get a new political system in place as soon as possible, and partly because of the impact it'll have on the recapitalisation of the Italian banks. The consequences of a swing towards populist politics in Italy are potentially quite damaging for markets, partly because the second largest party, the Five Star Movement, favours a referendum on euro membership, and that could send shockwaves throughout the currency zone. We think it's quite unlikely because the electoral system in the lower house needs to be reformed and will be reformed before new elections, probably in 2017 or 2018, that will make it very hard for the Five Star to govern on its own. The Austrian presidential election was the other big event this weekend, and market reaction has been very limited there. Austrian spreads are almost unchanged since before the weekend. The reaction to the Italian referendum result has been very contained both within Europe and outside Europe. US government yields are very slightly higher since the result. We can probably attribute that as much to the move in the oil price as we can to the referendum.